I've been Miss Mom, I've been Miss Art, I've been Mom. A lot of the kids that take my classes have never had any class outside of their own homeschool setting. So a lot of times I'm the first teacher, so I get to be called Mom a lot. I'm glad you guys are joining me. Looks like people are getting on slowly but surely. I have you muted initially, but I'm going to take that off if you guys have questions. I don't know if you've been on Zoom before. We're going to kind of go over the format, but you'll be able to both put your hand up if you have a specific question, and we'll have question and answer session at the end. And there's also actually a little icon that you can click on that says that you have a question of some sort. Sorry, a couple people are having trouble getting on, so I'm trying to get back to them. Hello. Well, I'm going to just kind of talk, because I think people are going to be gradually joining, especially if you've never been on Zoom. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes just to kind of get used to it. But then you'll find that the students can do it all by themselves. They'll be able to do it because it's really not that hard. The class link is actually going to be the same one as this particular one. And I require the password. Well, for this sake, I require the password. Usually for the classes, I don't necessarily do the password, but either way, I have to admit each student on. And that's why when I get your email address or I know your name, then I can admit you to the class. We're just really trying not to get any kind of hackers on here, which apparently is not to me, but it's happened before. So welcome. So I'm going to start talking. My name is Lisa Wright, and I am a professional artist and an art teacher and a French teacher. This is my painting Aslan that I did as an art major in college. He represents, if you're familiar with C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis is one of my favorites. So I painted him and did a creation series at Mount Holyoke College, which is where I was an art major and a French double major, basically, because I was fluent in French by the time I went to college. I clept out of a lot of the lower level French classes. And that was due to having the opportunity to live in Switzerland when I was 17. I lived on a farm and the family didn't speak one word of English, not one. So I had taken French for 4 years in high school, but my teacher wasn't very good at teaching conversation. It was more about writing and reading and grammar, which, you know, is very important, but conversation became essential when I was living with this family, obviously. And then I went on and studied French and art in college, and I got to live in Paris my junior year, studying both art and French, which was a lot of fun. I got to go back to visit my Swiss family as well. We still stay in communication with one another, which is so fun. So I got to be fluent in French in high school and then continued it all on college. And then my 4 kids all homeschooled all the way through their education. And they all had 4 years of French with me in a private program for homeschoolers that I taught. And then they all took art with me as well. So that's how I kind of got into teaching art and French to students, primarily homeschoolers. But in the summer sessions, in the 25 years or so I've been teaching, I also have had kids from adults and kids from public schools and private schools, all kinds of different students, especially younger students in the summer have taken both art and French with me. Good to see you. Hi, Kirsten. So as everybody gets on, I'm just going to be telling you a little bit about my classes now. As I said, I've been teaching really these particular classes for about 26 years. In fact, my current school year is still meeting, which is crazy to me. So in March, we moved from here, this is my, I call it my sunroom. It's my studio. That's where I paint as well. It's some of my artwork. And this table here, particularly, is where my classes were meeting when I was having the classes live. But in March, oh, you have a little kitten. So cute. In March, I moved to being on Zoom. So fortunately, I have a little bit of experience, just 5 months, but a little experience of teaching on here. And it's been surprisingly successful. In fact, some of my classes are continuing to meet that started way back in September because they're enjoying getting together and hanging out together and taking classes. You know, I think students are looking for opportunities to interact with other young people and my classes are fun. I make both French and art a lot of fun. And so it's a way to socialize in a weird sort of a way while we have this quarantine going on. So the classes that I'm offering, I have it kind of back there on the board. I have a drawing, two drawing one classes. It's coming out to be divided into ages primarily, but then if you have siblings who are interested in taking, it's totally fine if it's a class that's not exactly all their own age. I set it up to make it convenient for you all. And obviously when I was having them at my house, kids would usually take with their siblings. In fact, I've had a whole family of 5 kids, 4 kids, all coming to the same class and varying in a lot of ages because their moms don't want to drive them here more than once a week. But I can divide it up a little bit more for the initial semester, which is definitely going to be on Zoom. And as things are getting crazy, who knows how long it's going to be. I just want everybody to be safe. Fortunately, we haven't had any exposure. Anyone that we know has really been sick or anything, but of course it's out there and it's a real deal. So we're going to do it on Zoom. And it is a little more difficult because I have to be able to see the students working, obviously for the art. So what I do is I'll have, like, I don't know if you guys have what's called gallery view in your upper right hand corner. You can click on something called gallery view, and that way you can see all of the students at once. And then I have something as the host that says speaker view as well. So when each person who's speaking that I call on comes onto the mic and into the screen, they're larger, and I can check on their work as they progress with the drawing and the painting. And then with the French, we do a lot of oral exercises where I'll go on and ask individual questions so that they will have to mute and unmute themselves when it's their turn and not their turn. And then there'll be oral exercises where everybody's unmuted and they're repeating what I'm saying aloud. So getting back to the classes, I've got a younger drawing class and an older drawing class. I'll be posting the schedule. I think I posted it. Did I email you guys the schedule? I can't remember if I did. Okay. It's hard for me to keep it all in mind because almost every day it changes with the amount of people that are signing up, which is so exciting. And then I'll have a painting / mixed media class. Normally the drawing one class is kind of required or essential if you haven't had any kind of drawing instruction before you proceed on to either drawing 2 or painting, because everything that we paint, we will draw first. And I require my students to keep their own sketchbook, usually a spiral one. So as I mentioned, all 4 of my kids took French with me. Oh, someone's asking for the password. Sorry. I mean, art and French with me. And I have all of their sketchbooks, which is fun. All 4 of them kept each year. Like this is a drawing one sketchbook from my daughter, Jessica, 1998. So you can tell how old I am. This is called cross contour exercise. And the students will all keep their work in the one notebook and then probably proceed on to a second one because they usually fill up the one. We have new exercises every week as far as different techniques that I present. So they will be presented, for example, with cross contour in the class, and then they'll have a little bit of homework where they're drawing the illusion of depth by doing the roundedness of the subject that they draw. So they'll be getting into that a little bit with the art class. Initially, we do a lot of contour drawings, gesture drawings, then we get into shading. This is my son Nathan's sketchbook from the shading chart. So I'll teach them the difference between just drawing with the tip of the pencil and using the side of the pencil to do shading. And then they'll continue to do shading exercises. So drawing one is pretty essential. I even had a 16-year-old in drawing one this year. She's very talented and loves art, but she never had any art instruction. But in that same class, there was a 5-year-old. I don't feel that it's specifically age appropriate or specific, I created this curriculum and I've again been using it for 25 years. And then what's happened is as students have gotten older, they want to continue with me. I then created a drawing 2 class where they took all of the principles, say 1-point perspective, human figure proportions, landscape, creating the illusion of depth in a landscape, all of those things from drawing 1. And then in drawing 2, we take it a step farther and they use those techniques to kind of go into color studies, go into more finished pieces. And both classes also will be reading art history. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Calvert School. It may not even exist anymore, but the publisher's name is Hillier. He's both written The Child's History of the World, which we used as homeschool moms for history. It's probably, I don't know, like 4th grade level reading. It's really easy. And then I have A Child's History of Art / painting and drawing. I couldn't find it for today, but I also am using it for the architecture because some of my students are interested in going into architecture. So you will have homework. I mean, the kids will have homework during the week in both. It's not heavy reading. It's like 2 pages, 3rd, 4th grade level of reading art history. And they'll get the full gamut of the history of art, starting with cave drawings, and it goes all the way up to modern art. And I really space it out. So they basically read the one book over the 2 years if they take drawing 1 and drawing 2. And then if students have had good instruction in drawing, they can proceed on to the painting class. And that class is primarily like 13 on up, because those students have pretty much had drawing 1 and 2 with me before. And that is a 2-hour class. That will be meaning, I know that one's on Monday from 1 to 3, because it always is that time frame. And the tuition, I don't think I mentioned, is $10 an hour per student. So the 2-hour-a-week class will be $20 for the week. And the 1 hour, which is all the art and French other classes, are $10 a week or a class, $40 a month. And you can pay weekly or monthly. If you guys definitely want to sign up, then I'll send you all the information about my PayPal account and all that kind of thing. Because I'm getting a number of students, and I will max out at a certain number, more than I can have here around my table, but still I like to keep the classes, good size, not large. You'll want to register on my website, which was on the flyer, and I'll send it to you again if you didn't see it. It's just lisawrightsart.com, and on there's a registration, which is $25 per family. And I've learned to have that over the years because I have had a lot of people in the past sign up and then kind of come in and out as they please. But literally, when I'm here in this room, that one spot is taking the spot from somebody else that wanted to take but got waitlisted or did not get to attend. So for that reason, I have that little bit of investment, $25 for the year, so that shows that you're kind of committed to take the class for the year. And the curriculums are designed for a full year, which is obviously my preference because it is cumulatory. I will build on the principles from the first part of the year and use them, say, at the end of the semester and the second semester and that sort of thing. So if they miss something, it's a little bit challenging for them to keep up to speed. Obviously, if you're sick or whatever, what I've done in the past, if someone misses, say, I have a Tuesday drawing 1 class that will be at 1 o'clock for kind of the younger students, more elementary age. Anybody can be in it though. And if, say, junior is sick on that Tuesday, they can join the Thursday class, which is from 12 to 1. And it's the same exact curriculum, if that makes sense. With Zoom, it's easier to be able to make class, even say if mom's sick or whatever, they can basically just jump onto it. So drawing 2 will be, I only have 1 drawing 2 class. It's primarily going to be made up of the students who are just finishing up drawing 1 now. And that will be Wednesdays from 1 to 2. And last year, a lot of those students took French with me. So they're going to be continuing on in the French class, which is on Wednesdays 2 to 3. I like to have them back to back because it's easy. We're all here. Some join who weren't in art, but some are just staying on for the 2 hours, which is fine. Which brings me to French. So for the French high school level class, I can send you the ISBN number for this if you need to. I will be using this curriculum. It's published by Glencoe. I've been using it a number of years. I really like it because it has a lot of opportunity for, this is both the text and the workbook. It has a lot of oral exercises, written exercises, and then what we do in class is we go over the oral exercises where I specifically will go around and call on each student to be able to answer the questions based on what we had just been learning in the class for the exercise of each of the chapters. And then by the time we get to usually takes about a month, but once we get through a chapter, they will have a test of that chapter to kind of make sure that they're understanding everything that's going on from that chapter. And I give them the answers to study. So I really try to set my students up for success so that if they study, they ace it. It's not that hard. It is a high school curriculum, but I've had students that were a lot younger in it successfully take this French class and do well. And obviously, as what I would consider the principals of your kids, I'm just an instructor. You guys can decide if you want them to have high school credit for it. If they take a full year with this curriculum, they can qualify for high school credit for French 1. The elementary age French class, I have a lot of books that I pulled from, as I said, summer sessions. I don't normally have an elementary French class during the school year, but I'm going to because I have a number of students who are signing up for it. So that French class will be Thursdays. I'm going to type all this in your email so you don't have to memorize it now if you don't want to. But that French class will be on Thursdays from 1 to 2. For elementary age kids. I'm looking, I've actually used this other curriculum for a number of years that I really liked a lot, but unfortunately it's gone out of print. I'm still looking for it. This is called Power Glide French, and it's more for younger people. It's got the philosophy of immersion, which basically is what I experienced in Switzerland. I was immersed in the culture, and they were all speaking French, and so I learned that they, based on the fact that they were, living it all around me. So this will be similar in that they have conversational exercises, and it has CDs that the students would listen to pick it up on their own. And it doesn't have as much of the writing and the grammar, but more like the students who are younger would learn, and that is by just hearing it, just as our kids learn English by hearing it. So if I can find more of those, and if I can find them even, say, at Cherry Morris, which is one of the resources here in town for curriculums, I will let you know. But for the younger students, we'll start out with conversational phrases and colors and numbers and songs and kind of just some things in context of what they would do by doing life, if that makes sense. So those are my classes: two Drawing 1 classes, a Drawing 2 class, elementary level French class, a high school level French. And it's really going to be up to you. I have a number of students who are signing up in French who are about 11 and 12. They definitely can take the high school level class, but if you feel like, it's too challenging or they feel like it's harder for them to keep up, they can change it to the younger French class, if that makes sense. Again, especially since we're here on Zoom, it's super flexible for me. Okay, so the format, once again, is just for Zoom, and before I open up for questions, is they just do what you did today. I had not been requiring my students to have a password. I just try to make it as simple as possible. But even if they don't, again, they can't get on unless I admit them to get on. And I recognize names. And so that's why I need to know either your screen name or your email so that I can literally permit you to get on. And then once we get on, we just jump right into the class. Again, for the drawing, it's an ongoing sort of curriculum with different techniques that are taught, that then I'll go around specifically calling on each student saying, okay, Jerry, let me see how your progress is on your blind contour. Can you show me? And obviously I have not taught this whole year online before, so I'm like you guys, learning as I go with how it's going to work. I'm typically very hands-on, so it has been a bit of a frustration when a student is doing something and they're struggling with it. What I normally would do is I would literally, show them by sketching it on their sketchbook. But I use the whiteboard a lot to demonstrate techniques if they're having trouble, or sometimes we'll literally hold up a sketchbook. This was a copy of a master by my daughter Clara and Drawing 2 class, we do a lot of art history in both Drawing 1 and 2 and Copy Masters. So if she had trouble with the legs or whatever, I would literally draw them for her. So in the Zoom format, I will draw them on a sketchbook, show them, and then they have to repeat what I've showed them, which is very similar, but it's not quite as hands-on, obviously, because I can't jump through the screen and help them, even though I'd like to. One student this last year pointed out, but if I did that, then I would be breaking all the quarantine rules. So it would defeat the purpose, in other words. There's also a chat. I don't know if you guys notice at the bottom, there's a chat option that we have. I'll click on it right now. And for example, if I want to give an announcement or homework, I'll type it to everybody and I'll just say like homework this week. Kirsten, who's on here today, started doing some French and she didn't have the book yet, so I was typing all of the different vocab. J'ai parlé en français avec elle et j'ai dit tous les mots qu'on ne peut pas voir, alors elle peut l'entendre. So I just said she couldn't see the words because she didn't have the book, so I was typing them as I was saying them, and then she could hear it at the same time. Especially as an artist, I believe we're both visual learners as well as audio learners. So that's why I will speak to them a lot in French, but I'll also hold my little whiteboard up. This is from class this week. What I like to do when I start with all the French students, I'll say, you guys probably know a lot more French words than you think, like quiche and clep, déjà vu. Those are words that you've heard before that are French, but you probably didn't realize they're French. So I'll hold up this little whiteboard and write the words sometimes, or I'll use my bigger whiteboard back here, which has helped a lot. Just to help them kind of get over any issues that they have either in the oral exercises for the French or the drawing exercises. Painting has been a little more challenging. I won't lie about that. It was definitely harder, but the kids again are like 13. Well, I had an 17-year-old who graduated, in that painting class that was on Mondays. And literally when we started the quarantine, it was so funny. They would kind of not sneak, but they would come. I would get the paints that they needed on a pallet for them and put it on my front porch, and they would drive over and pick it up and use it. And that got old for some of the parents. So obviously then they went and got their own paint supplies, which I recommend either Jerry's or Michael's Artorama. It's just a little more challenging because in that painting class, we will go from watercolor pencils, watercolors, acrylics, oil paintings. They will learn all of the different medium, and then we get into mixed media after that. So the students who will be taking the painting class will have to, I normally just charge $20 a semester because I have all of the supplies. You all will have the decision if you are in that class to either come and pick stuff up from me because I have everything, and pay a supplies fee, or find the supplies on your own, which obviously I would help you all do if you end up doing that. For the drawing class, you'll need a spiral sketchbook. I like 9x12, which is about this size. Jerry's Artorama is a lot more inexpensive than Michael's, in my opinion, unless you have a really good coupon. This again is my daughter's Drawing 2 class where we get into portraiture. We draw all the features one by one, and then they begin to put them on faces. So she did a little baby here. I even have my high school sketchbooks. I save everything where art is concerned because I believe we learn from each other with this. And then you'll need a set of drawing pencils. I didn't grab them here, but drawing pencils have varying grades. I don't have one right here. So they'll have a number and a letter next to them on the edge of the pencil. And again, you can find this at Jerry's. You can get a set of 4, a set of 8, a set of 12. The varying grades are for hardness and softness. So they'll have an H next to the number if it's hard, which makes the pencil lighter, which we use for a lot of exercises. So if they mess up, it won't be hard to erase. Or they'll have the letter B next to it, which stands for softness. And the higher the number, the softer it is for the B's, and the higher the number next to the H, the harder they are and the lighter they are. So basically B pencils are for shading. And then they'll want to get something called a kneaded eraser. I forgot to grab that stuff today. A kneaded eraser, you pull, it looks like kneading bread, Knead. It's like, and all the students, particularly young ones, like to sculpt with them, but they are kinder to your paper. You know, when you erase, and sometimes with the pencil you can put a hole in your paper, that would literally ruin a drawing. So the kneaded eraser is kinder to the paper. It's softer, so it doesn't erase things that are quite as dark, but it won't put a hole in the piece of paper. So the kneaded erasers are good. So I think that's everything in my notes, but now I'm going to open up to questions, and you can either unmute yourself if you have a question, or I can unmute you, or I can ask to unmute you. So does anybody have any particular questions besides maybe?
Will you record the sessions as well, since they're going to be on Zoom? So if for some reason we can't join, we can just catch up on the recording?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Who said that?
Katie, Amelia's mom.
Hi, Katie. That's a great idea. I can do that. I am recording this. I hope it's okay, because there are a number of people who wanted to be here but had swim lessons and all that kind of thing. So I will just send a link to those who specific. I won't like publish it or anything, but I'll send a link to those that want it. So yeah, if you knew you were missing, then I can definitely, I'll have to check with my husband. He's my tech guy. My husband is an instructional designer with his doctorate in communications. So he works for DuPont, and he does most of my tech stuff. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. Just to make sure if I can record all my classes, it doesn't take too much storage on my laptop, you know. But if it's like, especially if it's like ones where someone knows they're not going to be there, I could definitely record it. Good question. Anybody else have a question? Yes, Lauren's son. Awesome. Do you already have your sketchbook?
Canvases, so I brought little canvases.
So you need to turn up your mic just a tad. It's hard for me to hear you, if you can. What's your name again, Mr. Mullen?
Kellen.
What is it?
Kellen.
Oh yeah, Kellen. I have Kellen down and Emilia. Are you showing me something that you drew, Kellen?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Good job. It's an awesome boat. Did you paint that, or did you draw it?
Draw it.
Drew it. Good job. I love it.
They got inspired.
Oh my goodness. You guys are going at it. I love it so much. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. I love that. And just so you guys know, Lauren's family is coming to us from between Charlotte and Richmond.
Yeah, Charlottesville and Richmond. So we're away.
Well, you know what? I have a student actually who joins me for French from Brussels, in Belgium. She was in my art class before her dad got stationed there, and she, especially because of the art, French, she wanted to specifically continue on with French because they speak French in Belgium. So it's funny because she takes it, but then her dad's sitting on the desk in the other side of the room because he's also needing to learn it because they speak French at his work. I guess it's for NASA or something like that. So she definitely wins the prize for being the farthest away. But I have had students drive here from North Carolina before, Moyock in that area, to get here for class. Anybody else have a question?
Yes. Do you strictly recommend a spiral, or can we use just this one?
That's totally fine, Bess. My experience has been, and I just don't like students to get frustrated, that the ones that are bound like that sometimes fall apart. And like this, again, this is from 1996 or whatever. These are so old, but they're durable. This is a graphic arts exercise we do. The students will do a logo out of their initials in black and white and then in color. So this would have been my son Nathan's sketchbook. But yeah, so if you have that already, obviously use it. But these are just a lot more durable, the spiral ones. Anybody else have a question?
I have a question about the French.
Yes.
Hi, my son Noah, he's at work on the farm right now with Grandpa, so otherwise he would have been with me. He had a half a year of Spanish last year, but he would really like to change over to French, and so far you're the only one that I've been able to find that teaches it, so I'm probably going to add him in.
Right.
How soon, because paydays are a little few, well, they're in between right now. How
Sure.
soon can I register him? And I didn't really realize as much of the art. I'm not as an artsy person. I speak Russian, so I'm the
Ooh,
language
cool.
person.
I love that.
Um, but I'm now considering my middle son, who's also working with Grandpa, for an art class. Now he has had some art
Uh-huh.
in our co-op, and I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, okay? So, but he's been working on his summer project
Uh-huh.
for himself. He's just been looking at Pokemon and drawing them and coloring them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he's doing a really good job. So
yeah.
should I start him off in the very basic
Yeah. Yeah,
art?
like I said,
or-
I even had 16-year-olds in that class last year because it's very thorough with the foundational basics of art that they will use the rest of their life, basically, if they have art, whether it's fashion art or designing furniture or Apple phones or whatever, they'll need those techniques. So I would recommend definitely drawing one. And how old is
Okay.
that student?
Aaron is 12. Yeah, I have 3 boys.
Well,
Yeah, he's
how old is
12.
your other son?
Noah's 15,
Oh, he's 15. Okay.
Aaron is 12, and Elijah is 9.
Okay, awesome. You're great.
So
I have one son. I love sons. It's awesome. Yeah, so the Noah, if he's 15, could definitely be in the high school level French 1 class.
yeah, yeah.
And
So and he's got to have 3 years. He's got to have 2 years of 2 or 3 years of 1.
right,
So
for college.
um,
Yeah.
and if I think this would be great for him. In fact, I was looking over at my parents' house to see if they were there for lunch because it's lunchtime, and I was gonna call him and say, come over here quick. But since you're recording it, I can show it to him later and
Yeah.
see what he thinks, because I think he would be really interested.
Yeah, that would be great. So what has happened with that class is some of the students, including Kirsten, who's on here with Grace today, wave Kirsten, no wave, Kirsten, hello. So on Mondays during the month of August, I've been giving like a little jumpstart class for the high school level French students. And she was on this Monday for the first time, even without the book. So that's going to be an option for Noah to start on Mondays, and the classes from 1 to 2, just for the month of August. And then it will be moving, if I can remember correctly. I can't.
Wednesday to 2, 3.
No, that's the French 1 class that's farther along. They're like 1.5 because of
Oh,
COVID.
okay.
So I literally will have 3 French 1 classes, an elementary, and then a new high school level, and then I have what I call French 1.5 that have gotten into the curriculum to the 4th chapter. But obviously, students wouldn't be able to just jump into that because they've been taking this last
Right.
year. So, so Noah will have the option to start even as early as Monday, even if he doesn't have the book. And it'll be the same link if he wants to jump on. And then again, I'll email this, I think I put it in the email. Then anyone in the high school level French will need this curriculum.
Okay.
This is
I just looked it up on Amazon, and they don't have very many of them. So
okay. Well,
where would be the best place to get that?
That's where we usually get them. And I
Amazon.
specifically use an older edition so that my families can find them cheaper. All the editions are identical. It really makes me mad when publishers act like you got to buy a new curriculum every year because you don't. So you can find it on the
Apologia.
Apologia. Yeah, I know a lot of people do that. So any edition, obviously for the workbook, you'll want to have one that's not written in a ton,
Right.
or much. But if Noah's not able to do that, we will be reviewing some of that material when we start the week of September 14th. That's when my classes.
And what days would that one be on?
I have to. I
Sorry.
don't remember unless I write it down. I know I'm bad. I'm trying to write it all out because literally I've been having new students join daily. So the older French class will be Tuesdays 3 to 4, high school level French class 3 to 4. Elementary French class will be on Thursdays 1 to 2.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I have a
So
question about
the
the French book.
I'm sorry, raise your hand. I'll have everybody be like in my classes. Yes. Yes, Renee. Hi.
Hi. So about the Bon Voyage book that you were just showing, on Amazon, it says that there's a workbook and audio activities, and then there's another one that says student edition, and it looks like it has a CD with it. So which one did they need? Do they need the CD?
If they can find the CD, yes, it'd be great. They're hard to find because it's an older edition. So they will need the textbook. This is the teacher's edition. They will have the student's edition textbook. Then they will need the workbook and audio activities. I don't require you find the DVD or CD, I mean, because they're difficult to find if you have an older edition. But if you find it, it will be a great advantage.
So the teacher's workbook and then the students as well.
No, you don't need the teachers. You just need the student's textbook and the student's workbook and CDs if you can find it. And I'll just mention, this curriculum was created for a high school level class like I took, which we met 3 days a week. And obviously, especially when moms are driving their kids to my house, most families don't want to meet that often. So that's why the kids that took French this year will still be using this book, because if you take a full year of French, you take a full year of French, and it's still considered credit for high school French for a year. But we don't get as much done. We don't travel through it as fast as we would, obviously, if we met more frequently.
And I had one other question.
Uh-huh.
As far as the $25 registration fee, if they took an art and a French, is that $25 complete total for both, or is that for each?
Just per family for any classes.
Okay.
Otherwise, it gets to be too much. And to answer your question, Tina, you can pay it now or later. If I know that you're committed to taking the class, then I'll put you down, but then you pay it before classes start if you can. And then the tuition can be paid. Monthly is easier, obviously, because of accounting. You don't want me teaching your kids math, and the accounting's the hardest part of my job. So those who pay me weekly, it's like, oh, who paid me again? So monthly would be better.
Monthly is better, yeah. And you have PayPal.
Yes, I will send the link for that.
Yeah, and
When is the drawing class? The drawing 1 class?
What is your child's age again?
She's 7.
So that would be on Tuesdays 1 to 2.
Okay, we may have her little friend from California. I'm going to check with her mom to see what their schedule is, 3 hours ahead of us, that may join as well. So I'll let you know if that's the case. But it would be fun for the girls to go to school together in a way.
Something, yeah, that would be so much fun. So you're Katie, right? Okay, yeah.
I am, yeah. And Aaliyah is doing her homework behind me, and she's supposed to be.
Student. I'm so impressed. Oh, Kirsten, yes, you have your hand up. I'm sorry.
So they need to take drawing 1 first. Can they take painting after drawing 1, or do they take drawing 1 and drawing 2 before they take painting?
That's a kind of a question based on their age and ability. It's not as age specific. So okay. I would say, for example, Kirsten, who's a teenager, if she wanted to do drawing 1 and painting, she could, but a 7-year-old would be way over their head, to do that. So you don't have to take 2 years of drawing, but I'd like you to have at least drawing 1 before you go into painting, or drawing with somebody else. Because anything that we paint, we draw first, like my Aslan. I took a long time to draw him. That was actually the hardest part before I painted him in watercolor.
Okay. And I think the schedule online is not updated. So is there a time when is there a painting 1 class that lines up with the high school French? Drawing 1. Sorry.
So painting 1 is Mondays 1 to 3 for sure. And then the high school level drawing 1 class is going to be Thursdays 12 to 1. The older, okay. Not high school, but older kids.
Right.
If that doesn't work, they can also take the other class. I have 12-year-olds in that class. That's Tuesdays 1 to 2. So it's kind of up to you for your schedule.
Okay. And the French one is going to be on Tuesdays?
Yes, after August, we will
Okay.
move to Tuesdays 3 to 4
Okay.
for high school French.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And your name is Hope?
I'm Catherine.
Catherine Hope, is
Mhm.
it? Okay, that's
Yes.
right. I was getting confused. My
Yes.
third daughter's middle name is Hope also. So,
Okay.
okay, anybody else have any questions? Jill, did you have a question? Yes, Tina?
Sorry, I was updating something. The French 1 for Noah, my 15-year-old, would be Tuesday to 3 to 4.
Mhm.
And the drawing 1 for Aaron, my 12-year-old, would be on Monday from 1 to 3.
No, Tuesdays from 1 to 2
Tuesday. from-
or Thursday 12 to 1. At that age, you could take either one of those two classes. They're
or
the same
Thursday from
curriculum.
12 to 1.
Same curriculum. Kind of depends on if he wants to hang with older or same age older kids or same age younger kids.
He really doesn't care.
That's good.
But I mean, he's the middle kid. Most
Yeah.
middle kids want to be with their older siblings
Yeah, that makes
most
sense.
of the time. So
Jill, who's your daughter there? Hi.
This is Eleni. She's interested in the French class.
Hooray. Hi, Elena. How old are you? How old are you?
12.
Let me teach you how you say your name. Je m'appelle
Je m'appelle
Elena.
Helena.
Very good.
Eleni.
Eleni.
Mhm.
Do I have you down already? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. So she'll want to do French 1.
Hmm.
So you at 12 will have the choice of either of the two classes as well.
Okay. How do you decide which one is the right choice?
You can check out Monday's class. Noah
Okay.
can do this too, which is from 1 to 2 with this same link.
Okay, that'd be great.
So again, these are kids that are just kind of ambitious and are wanting to do French during the summer. So, but they're mostly 13, 14, 15-year-olds, something
Okay.
like that. And then, if they're finding that they're keeping up, and again, she doesn't have to have this book to do, like Kirsten was on this week, and she did fine without it, but you will eventually get it if she joins that class.
Mm-hmm.
The other class will not be as rigorous. It'll be more fun, singing games, numbers, colors, phrases, things like that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm glad you're on here today.
Sorry.
Tina. That's how you say it in Russian.
Tina, that's funny.
Меня зовут.
Oh my goodness, that sounds hard.
Well, you can say in German, ich heiße Kati.
Oh my goodness. You
I
guys,
actually love the Russian as well because I grew up in East Germany.
oh my goodness.
I forget most of it. Yeah,
Ты
fortunately,
говоришь по-русски?
very little. Don't
Очень
speak much
мало.
anymore. But the Меня
Очень
зовут
мало.
Kati is about all that I remember
Меня зовут.
after
Да,
6
хорошо.
years. Yeah, the harsha. I can recognize it when I go or hear it, but that's about as far as I get these days.
I just heard somebody say "пожалуйста." He said something, and it was "please clean my beakers" in Russian, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he murdered it. He murdered "пожалуйста." He said "пожалуйста." I'm like, no.
Пожалуйста, I still remember. До свидания too, and a few others.
Свидания. Увидимся. Да,
Quick
хорошо.
question, Lisa. The website has the class for the drawing 1 to 2, but for some reason I just wrote down 2 to 3. Maybe I just
I'm
spaced.
sorry, which day are you talking about?
The Tuesday for the little ones, for the 7-year-old. Is it 1 to 2 or 2 to 3?
For drawing?
Mm-hmm.
1
The
to 2.
drawing one.
1 to 2.
Okay, I don't know where I got 2 to 3 from. Okay, I'm glad I asked.
Well, I have to get my website up to date. I've been literally so busy talking to people.
I think the website is right. It was just me when I asked earlier, writing it down wrong. For some reason,
I haven't updated the additional classes. I know for sure that I've added some, and I haven't been on there this week. So Asia, I see you. Do you have any questions? I'm glad you're able to find me.
I raised my hand, and then every time I raised my hand, the question was answered. So
awesome.
Well, we can't see you, Asia. All we can see is your pretty picture.
Oh, you don't want to see me right now. I had foot surgery, so my foot is up in the air, and
oh my goodness,
I'm looking crazy.
I've had that before. I know how that I know how that is. I had a screw put in my foot.
Goodness.
When my oldest was 9 months old.
Oh boy.
Oh wow, yeah.
No. No, by that time he was 16 months old. I broke it when he was 9 months old.
Oh boy.
But I had the screw put in when he was 16 months old. Try to chase a 16-month-old around on a broken foot. Doesn't work.
No, I don't think so.
And I had stairs.
Asia, I don't remember if you've signed up for anything. What are you interested in? I forget.
The French, my daughter is 10, she'll be 11 in October, and she has been dying to do French because my sister is fluent in French and her family, her son is immersed in a French school, and she's just been wanting to do it. And then my other daughter, Aubrey, she's 12. She loves to draw. She has a sketchbook already, and she's been drawing in it. And I'm like, I really want to nurture that with her. So it's like whatever they're interested in, I want to hone in on it so that they, so they can really develop with those skills.
Well, I'd love to have them. So your 12-year-old will definitely have the choice if she wants to be in Tuesday drawing 1 at 1 or on Thursday 12 to 1. They're the same drawing 1 class. And you'll have to, and I think probably at 10, it would be a little harder to do the high school level. So I would definitely do the younger French class for a 10-year-old, which again is going to be on Thursdays 1 to 2.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
One quick one. How do we watch the recording afterwards? You email it to us?
I'll email the link to you. And I'll probably test that after this meeting today. I've done it before, but obviously I didn't receive it to see how well it worked out.
And to sign up for your classes, we go to your website?
Yes, it'll say class registration. And it has a link on there where you can pay the registration. And it also has a link for you to pay for these classes. It all goes to PayPal. It's the same account. Did you think of something, sweetheart? Oh, my husband's telling me I can post the video too, which I might do that as well. And give everybody the link. So he's helping me think. So he taught graduate school for 10 years. So,
my husband is my tech person too.
Yes, me too.
For some reason my printer's not working and I can't figure out why. So I have to wait until he gets home.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Oh, good. Katie paid online. Katie just paid registration, looks like. I'm glad. Well, if you don't have any more questions, just know that we will start September 14th. And all of this information will be both on my website, and I'll send you emails out. Whenever somebody registers, they get the email reminding everybody, because I know I don't remember things when I just heard it, the curriculum, the supplies that you need, the different schedules, all of that I'll have in writing to everybody. And again, the classes will probably max out. I was able to fit 14 in this room with 2 tables. And I probably will keep it around that number because, as I said, during the hour, I rotate throughout the entire class. And obviously, kids are talking and stuff, especially when they're a little bit more familiar with one another. And I allow that as long as they continue to work. I've said that like 100,000 times. You can talk if you're working, but if you stop working when you talk, stop talking. So that way they can continue. Obviously, I want them to be social and have fun, but I also want them to progress with the lesson. So when they have the lesson, they'll be working on it in class. I'll present, say, like the blind contour, or the cross contour that I showed you. I'll give them samples. I'll hold up my sketchbook and draw it for them. They will then be working on it in class. And then as they're progressing in that lesson, I'll go through each of the students, checking in on them. And sometimes they're like, oh, I don't want to show, but I pretty much require that they show their work because there's a lot of teaching that goes on just from their contemporaries. Like, oh, you did it that way. That's not the way I would have done it. And that helps them to see there's no right or wrong way. It's just kind of like, if I do, say, for example, a still life, this was my daughter Clara's first color still life for homework. So for whatever reason, she did strawberry jam, which I always thought was funny. The composition for this still life will be, if I have 12 students, it'll be 12 different compositions, even if it's the same items, because people can draw from different vantage points. They can get closer, they can get further away. So the students really learn a lot. And so in class, what I would do when they're showing their homework, so as I was saying, they'll work on whatever it is in the drawing class. We'll progress through the class where they're all showing, they'll hold up their work and show. And then for homework, they'll do the same thing all over again on their own, bring it to class. Obviously, they can do it 100 times. I usually require just once, like one cross contour drawing or whatever. And then in class, they literally would stand up and show it. And I appreciated having my students have that opportunity to do a little bit of, it's not public speaking, but, being proud of their work. And the students encourage one another. They clap and give each other that sense of encouragement that they think that their other classmates have done a good job. But in this case, obviously, they'll be showing it individually at the end of each class. And I mean, it's up to you with students that have several kids. I don't see Lauren anymore. It looks like she had to get off. She's the one that's coming in from Charlottesville. They were all doing art at the table. So if I have multiple siblings, the siblings that are registered for the class or taking kind of a spot that I'm going to be formally checking in on do need to pay for the class. And if they're not like too disruptive, if there's younger siblings, obviously, and parents can listen in, and that's totally fine. But if that's happening and your student's getting a turn to talk, say Junior is showing me he understood the effect of light by doing the shadow and shading the apple. When I'm talking with him and he's unmuted to respond to me, and if all the other siblings are right there making a lot of noise, it can be disruptive to the class. So parents might have to monitor that a little bit if you have more than one student. They can listen in, obviously, but not be taking the class time where I'm doing specific instruction and specific checking in on how that everybody's been doing. Does that make sense? I had a 6-year-old in French 1, which was the high school level curriculum, and her name is Erica, and her mom is a nurse who teaches physiology and anatomy online to other nurses. So she literally had a skeleton behind her, and then this other model, I'd never seen one before, that was full muscles. And because she's such a good teacher, she would sit there with Erica for French, and obviously she's learning it as well, and help her with her homework and email it to me. And she was acing the tests, and she was only 6 years old. So I'm saying that, all students in my experience can go as far as they want to put the effort into it. And if a student's doing their homework and studying it on their own, which I highly recommend for a language class, and working on their art during the week and that sort of thing, they're going to go farther than someone who just sits down in my class and just does it and hasn't looked at it at all. So there will be grades for the high school French class, for example, and it's graded on class participation, doing homework, and I also, when they're in class, have them take notes. So all the French classes will need some kind of a spiral notebook or binder with, loose leaf paper, and that's fine. So if I'm presenting, say, a conjugation of the verb être, I will write it on the board. It's in the book as well, and they will study that for homework, and then they will have a grade based on what the homework is, which we go through every week. We usually start the class for, say, this level of French, looking at the homework they did for French that day. And I'll go through one by one, excuse me, and say, okay, what did you get for this answer? What did you get for this answer? So they will all be having the opportunity to have oral exercises in the French class each week. But they would have to have done that homework on their own at home. I tell them at the end of class, this is what the homework is, and this is how you do it, but you have to do it on your own. And I try to recommend, especially during these days where kids have more time, that in the high school level French, they really need to be looking at it at least 3 days a week. Again, that's what they would have been taking the class for if they were in a high school, public or private school, especially when they get into, say, French 2. That I will probably have for 2 days a week. I'll go from 1 day a week to 2 days a week, especially, Zoom, it's so much easier just to hop on here. And for those who have the younger kids for the French, I will be telling you, obviously you don't have to buy the books that I use for the younger students because they don't really have homework. If anything, I can email just the words that we went over. say in class, this was the first French book that I used for my kids when they were all little. J'ai parlé avec quand il était très jeune. I spoke with them when they were really young. So this was one of the first phrases they learn is, Je suis un ours, which means I am a bear. Voici Teddy. Je suis un ours. Je m'appelle Teddy. So I'll use this kind of a book that has, you know, fun illustrations and phrases and things for the elementary age kids. If I find the Power Glide that I really like a lot, I will tell everybody, because then you would have that curriculum to buy, if that makes sense. But otherwise, they won't really have homework, besides maybe practicing some of the words with mom that they learned in class that week. Okay, anybody else have any questions? I appreciate you guys getting on this hot August day. I'm excited about the school year. And as I said, if your kids have friends that may still be looking for some kind of instruction, any kind of classes, I love that idea that Katie was saying she might have her friend in California join. They can definitely join just by, you know, getting on the website. I will update it, but they can get more information about me, my artwork. I have my full art gallery on there. Oh, and also my art history reading. I'll send you the link for that. That Child's History of Art. My cat is eating my plant. I will send the link for that. And that reading is like every couple of weeks. It's not every single week, but I'll send the link. It's on my website, so you don't have to buy the book, because I know it is out of print and kind of hard to find. So you guys you'll be learning a lot about art in French too, since you all are going to be around when this is going on. Yes, Renee?
I have one other question. So I know the reading, you'll have them do that for the art. Will they be working on any artwork during the week, or do they do everything within your class for that?
No, they will.
For drawing one.
They will pretty much have homework every week. And it's not like a lot. Say, for example, if we did this cross contour, this exercise was called the effect of light. I taught about how there's two effects. If you have, I had just a light right here on the table. It'll have highlights for the effect of light, and it'll create shadows.
Okay, so they'll practice the technique through the week, and then any reading. Okay.
So they'll do this in class, for example. And if it's a longer, more detailed, like finished project, the homework will be, okay, finish that drawing. But if it's a shorter exercise, like I showed you earlier, the cross contour exercise, we usually get maybe 5 or 6 cross contour drawings done in class, because they're kind of fast. And then for homework, they'll do 2 or 3 more. This is the cross contour exercises with the ball and the hand. It helps them to start to draw what feels like the surface of whatever it is that they're drawing.
Because mine too, he has already done a ton of his own sketches, but he hasn't had any of the specific, you know, training and the technique, the names of it all, and all that stuff. So.
How old is he again, Renee?
11.
Yeah. Well, what you can do is yeah, I still would recommend probably the class. Yeah, like
for the foundational stuff. Yeah,
it's really important. Charlotte is going to take drawing 2 and painting next year, because she's discovered this is her thing, is art, and she was 16 taking drawing 1 this last year, and she's drawn all her life, but she'd never had a class in it.
Right, and he's done some of his own. He's done a lot of pastel. He had a class on pastels. He's done his own oil paintings, but he's never had the specific, you know, like technique for the drawing and stuff. So.
What is his name again, Renee?
Logan.
Logan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, I'll get this when you guys register too. I just like to start to think who my students are. This cat, my cat's name is Jasper, and he's only up here on the table when I'm teaching. He thinks he's a student, and the kids get like so excited when he jumps up here and he sits down on their sketchbook and stuff. But right now, he's trying to eat my plants, which I don't want him to do. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Like I said, we're going to go to 1 to 2, but obviously if you think of something, you have my email address, and you can email me and I'll be getting you all this information. Did you think of something else I can say? Yeah, get Jasper for my husband's getting Jasper for me. All right. Well, thank you so much. And let me know for sure if you're going to register and all that good stuff. And I'll send you all the information.
I need to talk to my boys and I need to talk to my husband, but I'm pretty sure that if not the art, we will definitely do the French. probably the art with Aaron.
Good.
But
I do that.
yeah, you can probably pretty much count on me unless I tell you
Great.
otherwise.
And you just found me yesterday, so you got in under the wire to do the meeting.
I did. I saw your thing on Cherry's on More Expressions. So the French it's a 2-hour class.
No, it's just one.
Oh no, the art's is a 2-hour class.
No, drawing is also one. The only 2-hour class is painting because it just takes a while
okay.
to get all set up.
Art is
And they have to clean their supplies and all that good stuff. So
art is just the crap. All right, I'm confused. Drawing is Tuesday 1 to 2 or Thursday 12 to 1.
Correct.
And the price for that one?
They're all $10 an hour, $40.
$10 an hour, $40 a month,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the painting will be $80 a month, but your kids aren't in that one yet.
Okay, so basically I'm looking at $80 a month for 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay.
All righty. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me, and I will get you more information. And I appreciate
Thank you.
protect your kids. Au revoir. Oh, bye. See